Hi everyone, welcome to What's Happening in Brazil. Let's start with the latest news from the country.
President Jair Bolsonaro vetoed the free distribution of pads for disadvantaged women and girls. The bill was part of the Menstrual Health Protection and Promotion Program, which was unanimously approved by the Brazilian legislative power. Bolsonaro's veto directly impacts the lives, health, and well-being of teenagers, one of the groups that would benefit from the bill. According to the UN, 25% of Brazilian girls between 12 and 19 years old stop attending school at some point during the school year because they do not have sanitary pads. Other women that would benefit from the bill are street women and those living under extreme social vulnerability, imprisoned women and those living in units of the prison system. Now, the opposition will go to the UN against Bolsonaro's veto, and the National Congress can overturn the president's measure. Human rights organizations filed a request for impeachment of the Minister of Economy, Paulo Guedes, in the Federal Supreme Court. The request was filed after the investigative report Pandora Papers denounced Guedes for having offshore companies. The information is in classified documents obtained by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists formed by 150 press outlets around the world. According to the ICIJ, Paulo Guedes and the president of the central bank, Roberto Campos Neto, moved companies in tax havens and kept the ventures after joining the government of President Jair Bolsonaro in early 2019. In Brazil, it is allowed to have an offshore company as long as it is declared to the Federal Revenue Service and the central bank. Those who hold public offices are subject to rules to prevent their self-advantage. In addition to this denunciation, the organizations point out that the Minister of Economy committed liability crimes for weakening the capacity of the Brazilian state to face the pandemic. Brazil surpassed 600,000 deaths due to COVID-19 amidst the economic and social crisis of hunger and unemployment.
The Mais Médicos program was created in 2013 by Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff to take healthcare professionals to unassisted localities. The program's gradual dismantling, increased during Bolsonaro's government, has dramatic effects on these populations.
The consequences of Bolsonaro's dismantling of the Mais Médicos program have been noticed not just by its users but also by public administrators. City and state departments of health across the country were faced with a sudden drop in the number of doctors. That happened because Cuban doctors had left Brazil and the government implemented several spending cuts.
The percentage of health staff in Brazil has dropped a lot. The municipalities had no condition, and still do not have, to quickly hire new doctors. Why? They would have to make an announcement for the official examination. Hiring doctors is expensive, and it would increase the number of mayors' personnel. The mayors are all fed up with the tax liability, so they can't take a new edict.
Earlier this year, the Espírito Santo government created the Qualifica APS program precisely to fulfill the role of recruiting, training, and remunerating new health professionals. The program already has 421 doctors in 69 of the total of 78 cities of the state.
At the beginning of the year, a new agreement was made with the cities, with the mayors, for the municipalities that identify areas with problems to keep the hired health professionals, areas that are unable to attract health personnel, for them to publish announcements with a grant worth 15,000 reais, a more attractive monthly salary. Many cities were unable to attract professionals and are now succeeding, as in the most remote areas in the north region of the country.
However, the general picture in Brazil is one of dismantling. The most recent National Health Survey, released last year, indicates there was a reduction of almost 10% in primary healthcare coverage in the period between 2013 and 2019. Alexandre Padilha, former health minister and currently federal deputy, considers this number to be linked to the country's poor results in the fight against COVID-19, which has already caused more than 600,000 deaths.
The dismantling of the Mais Médicos program, a process that the federal government has been carrying out, impacted people's lives before the pandemic began. But this process gets into a more serious situation during the pandemic. When the pandemic starts, It dismantles and disrupts primary health care, public health service of neighborhoods, close to communities, in the remote areas, something that could have been essential for saving the lives of many people.
Capoeira master Moa do Catendê was assassinated in 2018, a victim of the political intolerance which dominated the country since then. As a cultural activist, he founded and gave important contributions to carnival blocks in the Bahia state, northeast Brazil, where he was born. His contribution was also decisive as a voice for capoeira throughout Brazil.
Tem muita gente que não acreditou que o Badawi viesse pra ficar.
A life dedicated to Bahia's culture. During more than 4 decades of career, Master Moa do Catendê gave a personal touch to everything he did.
His own way of playing capoeira was how he was, that light, calm, relaxed person. His capoeira moves expressed no anxiety. This represents the capoeirista he was, his personality in capoeira, and shows exactly who he was.
Mo was also important to the reappearance of afoxés in the 70s, after 2 decades of decline.
When a popular kind of sound truck, the trio elétrico, emerged, the movement of batucada and the associations that had been gaining strength are kind of silenced or neglected. Therefore, we can see that between the 50s and the 60s, there was a decline in afoxés.
Some factors contributed to this rebirth in the 70s. Gilberto Gil, newly arrived from exile, wrote a song to honor the afoxé Filhos de Gandhi, giving new strength to the group. In 1974, Ileaie was born, the first Afro-Carnival block of the city of Salvador. And in 1978, Mestre Moa created Badawi. In an interview to Bahia's TVE channel in 2009, he talked about the birth of the group.
Badawi has a long story that begins with me too, with my journey as a capoeirista, as a dancer, as a member of many folkloric groups such as Oxum and Viva Bahia, which took me abroad. So I accumulated this knowledge, plus the fact that I'm an Ogan of my aunt's terreiro.
In Badawi, everyone could participate: women, men, blacks, and whites. The group innovated by mixing the rhythm of Ijexá, which comes from the candomblé terreiros, with Cuban music, reggae, and Afrobeat.
While the afoxés sang only songs from the candomblé liturgy, all of them in the Yoruba language, Badawi brought songs in Portuguese, songs that told of the beauty of being part of the Badawi. They sang about the beauty of the neighborhood, about love.
The art of Master Moa do Catendê took him to several Brazilian cities and also to other countries. Where he went to, he left disciples in capoeira and afoxé. His tragic death interrupted a story that still had many chapters, but his legacy remains.
Now it's time for Brazilianese.
Pesto is a versatile sauce that goes well with everything. It's simple to make, but it has its little secrets. Come with me and I'll teach you them all. I'm going to make the most traditional pesto in a pesto, which names the recipe, the pestelo, where the pesto sauce is made. The order of the products does change the final result. For the pesto to turn green, there is an order. You start with the garlic, then add the nuts, the basil with salt, then the cheese, and finally, without mixing, the oil. Start with the garlic. Be careful not to add too much garlic and end up making it too strong, as the garlic stings like pepper. Mash the garlic until it turns into a puree. Add the chestnut and mash it until it becomes a paste. It is important to use a spoon while mashing to make it homogeneous. Add the basil leaves and salt and mash with the pesto. Then make circular movements, incorporating the leaves to form a green puree. Add the small pieces of cheese and keep on mashing and incorporating it. Finish with the olive oil, but just mix it, no mashing. It's ready. You can eat pesto with pasta, in a salad, with meat, especially roast chicken, roast vegetables, and even just with bread. It's very versatile. And one more quality of this dish, it freezes very well, so if you find basil at a good price, take the opportunity and make pesto to stock up.
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We'll see you next week.